There comes a moment, a quiet, almost unnoticeable moment, when the life you've been living begins to feel too small for the soul that lives inside you. It doesn't arrive with fireworks. It doesn't knock loudly on your door. It doesn't announce itself as some dramatic life event. Instead, it comes as a whisper, a question, a restlessness deep inside your chest that refuses to let you sleep. And if you're listening right now, if these words have somehow reached you, then you already know. The path has been calling. Not the safe path, not the predictable one, but the path toward something greater. The path toward truth. The path toward awakening. And here's the thing most people don't tell you. Once you step onto it, once you whisper yes to that calling, everything changes. Not always outwardly, but inwardly, completely. For most of us, this path doesn't begin in light. It begins in shadow. It begins when something breaks. When the job that once gave you identity suddenly feels empty. When the relationship that defined you collapses beneath unspoken truths. When the mask you've been wearing grows so heavy that your spirit begins to suffocate beneath it. This is what many call awakening. But awakening doesn't feel like rising at first. It feels like falling apart. It's the moment you realize the life you built on borrowed beliefs, expectations handed down by family, society, culture, cannot carry you any further. And that realization is not comfortable. It's not glamorous. It's not aesthetic. It's not something you post about with a smiling photo. It's raw. It's disorienting. It's deeply unsettling. But it is holy. Because the path to enlightenment does not begin with answers. It begins with a question so deep it shakes your foundations. Who am I, really? Not who I was told to be, not who I perform as, not who I pretend to be so others feel comfortable, but who am I beneath the noise? To walk this path, you must be willing to let go. Let go of identities you once defended. Let go of expectations placed upon your shoulders before you even understood them. Let go of the belief that more money, more recognition, more achievement will finally make you feel whole. And in that surrender, something extraordinary begins to happen. You begin to see. You begin to notice that much of what you were chasing was never truly yours. It was conditioning. It was fear. It was survival. It was the desperate attempt to fill an inner emptiness with things that were never meant to fit. Walking this path means trading the external chase for the internal return. It means turning inward, not to escape the world, but to rediscover your center within it. It means realizing that what you were searching for outside of you has been quietly waiting inside of you all along. But don't romanticize this journey. This path is not soft. There will be nights when you question everything. Nights when loneliness wraps around you like fog. When the old world no longer fits, but the new world hasn't yet revealed itself. You will feel suspended between who you were and who you are becoming. This is what mystics have long called the dark night of the soul. And if you are walking through that darkness right now, hear this clearly. You are not being punished. You are being prepared. This darkness is not destruction. It is transformation. It is the soul shedding its old skin so something truer can emerge. Yes, it hurts. Yes, it feels isolating. Yes, there will be moments when you wish it would all just stop. But every breakdown on this path is simply a breakthrough disguised in shadow. Every ending is a doorway. Every collapse clears space. And then, quietly, almost imperceptibly, something shifts. You begin to notice synchronicities. The right person appears at the right time. The exact book you need finds its way into your hands. A random conversation answers a question you never voiced aloud. Carl Jung called it synchronicity, meaningful coincidence. But it feels like more than coincidence. It feels like guidance. It feels like reassurance. It feels like the universe whispering, "You are not alone." This is when you realize you don't have to force your life into shape. You don't have to grip so tightly. You don't have to control every outcome. You only have to align. Life begins to move differently. It stops being about control and starts being about trust. Colors appear sharper. Moments feel slower. Breath becomes deeper. Even pain begins to teach instead of punish. You no longer see suffering as cruelty. You see it as refinement. You no longer see setbacks as failure. You see them as redirection. Time loses its urgency. Peace becomes accessible in the simplest moments. And for the first time in a long time, you truly breathe. Because enlightenment is not about escaping life. It is about seeing life clearly. It is about walking the same streets, speaking to the same people, doing the same tasks, but with new eyes, with awareness, with presence, with depth. And then comes the greatest revelation of all. You were never searching for enlightenment. You were searching for yourself, not the self that performs, not the self that hides, not the self shaped by fear, but the eternal self, the self beneath the stories, the self beneath the wounds, the self beneath the expectations. And when you meet that self again, something extraordinary happens. You realize you were never lost, you were never behind, you were never unworthy, you were simply asleep, and now you are waking up. But this awakening does not isolate you, it connects you, because when you remember yourself, you remember everyone else. Compassion deepens, judgment softens, love flows without condition. You no longer serve from obligation. You serve because your heart overflows. Your presence becomes calmer. Your words become intentional. Your silence becomes powerful. You no longer need to preach. You no longer need to convince. You no longer need to prove. Your energy speaks. And that is the quiet power of those who walk this path. So why does everything change once you step onto it? Because you change. Your perception changes. Your values change. Your energy changes. The world outside may look exactly the same, but to you, it will never feel the same again. You'll see beauty where others see ordinary. You'll feel peace where others feel chaos. You'll hear guidance where others hear noise. Walking this path is not self-improvement. It's not a hobby. It's not a phase. It's not something you try on and take off when life feels inconvenient. Walking this path is stepping into an entirely new dimension of living. A dimension where awareness replaces autopilot, where presence replaces pressure, where truth replaces performance. And once you enter that dimension, something irreversible happens. You cannot unknow what you know. Once your eyes open to your patterns, your wounds, your conditioning, you cannot pretend you didn't see them. Once you feel your own depth, you cannot return to shallow living. Once you taste peace, you cannot fully go back to chaos. You cannot unsee what you have seen. You cannot return to sleep once you have awakened, even if you try. Even if fear whispers that the old life was easier. Even if comfort tempts you to shrink again. Because something inside you has shifted permanently. Your standards rise. Your tolerance for illusion dissolves. Your soul refuses to settle for less than truth. And if this message is reaching you at the right moment, pause for a second. Comment below. I am ready to awaken. Not for validation, not for trends, not for anyone else, but as a declaration to yourself. Because sometimes the first step isn't action, it's acknowledgement. So if you feel the call, trust it. Trust the discomfort. Trust the uncertainty. Trust the quiet voice inside that keeps whispering, there's more. If life is dismantling everything you thought you needed, let it. Let the false structures fall. Let the outdated identities collapse. Let the relationships built on survival reveal their cracks. What feels like destruction may actually be liberation in disguise. If your heart aches with questions that have no easy answers, follow them. Follow the curiosity that scares you. Follow the longing that doesn't make logical sense. Follow the pull that keeps returning no matter how hard you try to ignore it. Because growth rarely feels safe, and stagnation slowly suffocates the soul. What you are longing for is not a new job, not a new relationship, not a new city, not a new version of the same life. What you are longing for is alignment. And alignment is not ahead of you. It is within you. It is the version of you beneath fear, beneath doubt, beneath conditioning, beneath the story you've been telling yourself about who you're allowed to be. And the moment you choose this path, the moment you stop running from yourself, the moment you surrender, not in weakness, but in courage, everything begins to shift. The moment you say yes to your own becoming, yes to growth, yes to healing, yes to uncomfortable honesty, yes to evolution, everything changes. Not because the world transforms overnight, but because you do. And when you change, your perception changes. When your perception changes, your reality rearranges itself around the new you. You start making different decisions. You start attracting different people. You start walking away from what once felt impossible to leave. You stop shrinking. You stop settling. You stop apologizing for your depth. And once you walk this path, you will never again mistake survival for living. You will no longer confuse being busy with being fulfilled. You will no longer confuse validation with love. You will no longer confuse comfort with purpose. You will never again mistake noise for truth, because truth feels calm. Truth feels steady. Truth doesn't rush you. You will never again mistake illusion for reality, because illusion requires effort to maintain. Reality requires only awareness. And if you're already in the middle of your breakdown, your rebirth, your dark night, type, "I trust the process" in the comments. Not for me, but as a reminder to yourself that this pain is not pointless. It is preparation. And when you reach that awareness, even briefly, something inside you settles. You will know. Not intellectually, not conceptually, but deeply. In your nervous system, in your breath, in your being. And in that knowing, you will be free. Free from comparison. Free from proving. Free from chasing what was never meant for you. Free from the exhausting performance of being someone you are not. And that freedom, that is the true beginning.